All right, episode 2 of Non-Sexy Businesses with Dean Crawford here of Genesis Electric. So Dean, we kind of kicked it off by talking about getting into the electrical trades. Did you go to trade school, or when did you decide that this was the path that you wanted to go?
Yeah, I think I started off when I was younger. It was just fascinating to try to figure things out, and kind of raised in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad did businesses and things like that, and kind of always gave me the idea of that's where you can really just find a lot of enjoyment and a lot of success too. Just being an entrepreneur and kind of paving the way and cutting new paths is something that's just really a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's as I've kind of started my business journey. It's kind of cool to not have guardrails, and you get to kind of chart your own path, and kind of in the electrical services trade, you kind of talked about like services and different paths, and I mean there's a ton of different directions you can go in that space. Kind of narrow it in, like where do you guys live and where do you like to kind of win in the marketplace?
I think the service, and it's kind of overused. It's hard because you have a lot of times that people talk about doing stuff with excellence or having honesty and integrity in a business. So they're so overused, it's really hard to bring that justification or clarification rather to it. But really that's where it's a lot of fun, is when you can really serve people with excellence and not, I used to think that adding value meant subtracting money. And I thought that's the way that you can be more valuable. And sometimes it's just caring about people and servicing them well and having that integrity and really doing everything with excellence, not just with your customers, but everybody you come in contact with. It's almost a contagious thing, I think, as we go through the business and as we've grown, where I found out that, like I started out, I saw that when you do stuff, you want to treat your customers well and you want to treat your employees well. And what I discovered probably in an earlier part of this is when you treat your employees really well, they take care of your customers. So just blowing it out of the water with excellence and trying to find a way. I heard a story that someone told, and they were talking about, they were sitting down with a guy from the owner for Chick-fil-A. He's passed now, but
okay.
But they were talking about how they were in line together, and I think it was John Maxwell, if I remember right. And he's telling this story about they went to their golf club, and they were, he let him go first, and he went and got his food, and then he went and sat back down, and then John comes up, and he's up there, and he's getting his food, and he comes up, and he's standing there, and he's like, "Oh, did you need something of mine?" And he said, "No, I'm just waiting on you." And he said, "Oh, that's great." And he's going on through it and walking through the line, and after he got his plate of food, he looked over and he had his hands out, and he was like, obviously he wanted the tray of food, so handed him the tray, and he went and he sat down, and he said, "Excellence is something you do all throughout your company." And it was something that I really started looking at and realizing that if people aren't serving the way that I want them to inside of Genesis Electric, or people that are around me, then I'm probably not serving well. So it's just really putting an attitude of service and finding ways. Like we were in, whether you're in an office setting or whatever, and the cups are dirty, you can just go and clean them for someone, and just really treating people well. And that's been a lot of fun. Just growing a business, but more growing a culture. So part of ours is excellence today, and treating and developing leaders for tomorrow, and then communities forever, is like our tagline. So it's not only treating people with excellence and treating customers and employees, but developing the leaders that'll have that same heart.
Yeah. And how many guys do you have now out there, guys and gals?
There's a kind of full-time, part-time mix, but there's about 17 total right now.
Okay, so pretty large group out there running around northern Indianapolis, or where are you guys? Where's your footprint at?
So we have Northwest Indiana, and then Indianapolis area. So Indianapolis, the donut, or the areas around Indianapolis. And then we have a second location that's up in Northwest Indiana. Crown Point is where the office is up there.
Nice.
So a couple, 3 guys up there doing some stuff too. So.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, and the biggest thing that I know we talked about is is how do we encourage folks that are looking for businesses or looking to strike out on their own, like that they don't need to create the next Google.
Mm-hmm.
They could learn a trade. They could, find a job that, most people in the home are either not qualified to do or are just uneasy about doing. Electrical is probably one of those that people can't just do on their own and they don't want to. So that's really interesting. Another thing I would like to hear is how does your faith come into the business? I mean, Genesis is obviously a biblical kind of name, and how does that factor in daily?
I think one of it was interesting. So I've done electrical business. I've always enjoyed doing it, and it's enjoyable to make money and be successful at what you do. But that's never been like the driving point. Hasn't been make $1 billion or $1 million or millions of dollars or whatever. But it's always it's still a factor in it. And I remember we had the location up in Northwest Indiana, and I was going to relocate, start another one. Had another guy that was involved, and he's up there doing it. And we moved down here, and it just felt like God just kind of kept blessing it. I pastored a church for about 3 years, so that's what in the middle of doing the electrical work full time, I also pastored part time for about 3 years. So
wow.
That was kind of that season came to an end, moved down here and working through it. So it was fun and exciting, and I thought growing a business is great and it's a lot of fun. But I at some point I realized that I felt like God just kind of kept blessing things, and everything that happened, it just felt like things kept falling into place and things kept happening. And I noticed that there's a lot of people having a lot of fun, and not only customers that were enjoying the work we were doing, but the electricians just laughing and carrying on. And I remember one morning waking up and having this kind of like dialogue with God, and I thought, that's something I could grow a business for. To make a bunch of money, it's enjoyable, but that's not a driving point for me. But when I watched a lot of people really having a lot of fun, and I saw the hearts of people that enjoyed coming to work, that's something that excited me. So probably the excellence today and leaders for tomorrow, that kind of aspect of it is really developing people. And my passion is so that I can grow a business and maybe do some other acquisitions, pull them in, and then be able to cast them out on their own and let them either own all of it or part of it. Or I wish I would have had opportunities to do that when I was younger. And now to be able to make these opportunities for guys that are just excited about, wanting to grow in their leadership skills. So those are the things that are really kind of cool when you can really help people develop and grow.
And I love that. And I'm gonna ask the $1 million question that I get asked by every person in this kind of trades labor area. Where do you find good help? Like, how do you identify and find those good people? Because that seems to be the challenge that a lot of folks in these industries struggle with.
Yeah.
And how to keep them.
I think it's almost the same question, but I remember, I'll give you a comparable that'll maybe help. I remember when we've done a lot of marriage counseling and stuff and received a lot, and they would always talk about, how can I find the ideal husband or the ideal wife, or how do you find that? And they said you have to become the right person to attract the right person into your life. So if you aren't that person, and if you're a 10 and you're trying to attract someone who's a 20, it's probably not going to work, or a 5 and a 10 or whatever however you use your numbers. But so you have to become that person. So now you take that same principle and put it in a business. We've never had a hard time attracting good help because the culture that we've created, people want to work in there. So my struggle has been more maybe on the revenue generation side. That's just a lack of knowledge and experience, but attracting good help is easy. It's like that situation when you're looking for a great spouse and you want to get married someday. You got some younger single guys or something, and they're like, how do I find this great person? And it's like, you become a great person yourself and you attract those. So I really feel like God had, for a long time, I just felt like God was just blessing me with all these great people that just felt like they were better than I was in a lot of areas. And I think He did. I think there was a lot of that God did do, but it was also a part of becoming that right person. And when you create a culture and an atmosphere that's fun, I mean, they don't have to work to get people to Disney. Yeah. And not like every electrical business can be Disney. I'm not, but there can be some aspects that attract. And then the other thing is holding people. When you have excitement and you're excited about life, that attracts people and they want to get involved. People want to be involved in something that success is a part of it, that they feel like they can contribute and be a part of it. I think for a long time, that's just a quick little story. So one of the things I realized in my parenting, and I didn't realize it until I was quite a bit older, but when I was younger, I used to, we jokingly say now, I would talk about my kids and I'd say, you know what, I gave them the right to have their own opinion as long as they realized it was wrong. And I realized that that's not a really good way to raise kids. You can be persuasive. You can say, hey, have you thought about this? You're the parent. You don't have to force your parenting on your kids. If you become just a great parent and really just try to give them. So when you're looking at that with employees, there's some similarities there. You don't have to slam on every person. When they're doing something wrong, you can persuade them to be the right way and help them to become that right person. Rather than just like forcing it on. So when you are in a place where you're really wanting to help people and you're investing in other people, it's really easy for them to want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I mean, that is the question that I get the most from from folks that are looking to sell their business, looking to acquire businesses is, well, I don't know if I can take on something else because I can't find the right help. I'm already struggling here. And I love the idea of like, be the attraction, make your business a place that people want to be.
Yeah.
And the desirable folks will show up. That's really good. And then to kind of wrap it up, like, what advice would you have for, a younger person or even an older person that is looking to kind of strike out on their own and kind of pursue a business like you've started? Like, maybe not electrical, but like, what is that advice that you would have loved to hear when you were starting out?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I realized young, when I first wanted to start a business, I'd just been married probably 6 months, and my wife was finishing up her teaching degree in biology. She was getting that finished, and I remember I was talking to my pastor, and I just wanted to do that. I wanted to go out and start out on my own, and he said, do you think you're in a good place to do that? So I think being in the right place is important, an important part of that. But it was just like those conversations. So I waited a while. I learned and I worked under someone else, and I think that was a lot of it. And also like I didn't have a ton of business experience as far as formal training and an MBA and anything. So like a business plan, I knew what a business plan was, but trying to develop one was hard. So I think finding people that can mentor you and help you along the way. There's a book called The Tribe of Millionaires, and it talks about the influence effect and how people influence your life. So I'd say surrounding yourself with a great group of people. Obviously, from a faith perspective, it's really seeking God and wanting to know that aspect of it. From the other side of it, though, finding those people that you want to be like and surround yourself with them and get hungry. I mean, people are excited to pour into your life if you're willing and you have those driving forces to really go after something and get excited about it.
No, that's really great.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Dean, and I wish you all the best in 2026, and hopefully Genesis just does very well and you attract the right folks and just have a blessed year.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.